I think what I heard, and I'm not sure which of the girls said it, was they were getting rid of everything in the house. They were cleaning the house.
Don't know who did the work. You heard that any of that information is redacted. We don't know who did the work. It's a giant secret. We know that by the time the FBI gets involved, the profile, the text file, that's a snip to use to try to identify somebody is more than twice as big when it gets to the FBI from Othram. We don't know how.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
Thank you all so much for tuning in this evening. I'm your host, Birdie. I go live weeknights at 7 p.m. Central. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. So we think past the headlines, we question the narratives. We actually go back to the beginning and we say maybe things that came out early on in one of the most high profile cases in the last decade with zero answers and nothing but narrative. Maybe what people had said that they heard before the news told them what to think may have been closer to the truth than we are today. And that's what this evening's stream is about to be. We're going to talk about WSU Kim. Christy's chaos, again, as I've said many streams in the past week and a half, just goated. Thank you, Christy. Everybody needs to go give Christy's chaos a follow, like the video, subscribe. She is on a generational run of finding these old clips. It really is impressive. And it helps. It helps get to the truth so much more than people want to admit. And I'm going to give an example. I scheduled the live, and I don't know if this person is still in here, but there was a comment, and it said, "This is old news, Birdie." And I'm not necessarily calling that person out. However, everybody loves to say, this was talked about years ago. What are you doing? Stop rage baiting. Stop clickbaiting people. Okay, let me ask you this. What happens if what was discussed 2-3 years ago didn't have court documents, didn't have any audio or video to go with it, and now, after the fact, you listen back to it and you go, holy shit. How would they have known that? We're looking at this and we're trying to figure it out. And they already knew about it years ago. So stop acting like truth has this expiration date. Okay? I'm so sick of hearing that. This person said that years ago. Okay, cool. Did they figure it out? No. And I'm not even trying to be mean to them. I don't care. Like, it's more of, what's your goal? Do you want to be first? Or do you want to be the person that made a difference and got to the truth? I know what my goal is. What matters more? What matters most? What's your intention? And so that's why I believe that looking back at what Christy's chaos just found and was able to uncover in a Chronicles of Olivia interview it's a bombshell. It's crazy. WSU Kim, listening back to what she had said, is eye-opening. If you guys want to screenshot this, and then after the live has concluded, just tap the QR code. That will take you to all of the HiveMind social links. It'll take you to my TikTok. It'll take you to the Discord, HiveMindStore.com. All of my streams are free. The best way to support this channel is to swipe down on the chat right now, hit the like button, tap subscribe, send it to your NPC, normie, mouth-breathing, over-fluoridated zombie friend in the most loving, caring, respectful way. You should send it to them because you care about them. Have empathy for people that might be hypnotized by the mainstream media. I understand not showing somebody's full video and going to their page to get the views and do all of that. I know Christy tunes into the Hive, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Christy, when I say this. I hope that people in here, you're at almost 2,000 subscribers. I hope that after tonight, you're over 3,000. Please go like these videos. Subscribe to Christy. She has been on her grind getting these old clips, and it's unmatched. Going back to the beginning is so important in this case to reference information that has finally just come out. So I don't know if Christy's tuned in right now, but show her some love if she is, or if she's watching on replay. I got the comments up on the screen. Thank you, Christy, for doing this. It is huge. This is amazing, and I don't want that to go unrecognized. So thank you very much. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull this up. If you don't know, WSU Kim has a daughter that went to WSU, who apparently has a ton of details. If you've ever heard the rumor of there was going to be a shakedown, from everything that I know and everything that I believe, it's from this phone call. Now, WSU Kim has done a couple of interviews. Some of them have been scrubbed. If you look at what Christy Chaos's title is, it says new WSU mom, quote unquote, clips with Chronicles of Olivia. Now, Chronicles of Olivia has also put out the footage of Steve, Christy, and the other Olivia sitting on their couch saying that their niece called them and said that Kaylee was at a party that got shot up. What? And I've talked about that many times. So, my challenge for everybody in here tonight, sit back, relax, keep an open mind, listen. We're going to watch this together. I've only gotten about halfway through it, and then I stopped because I said, you know what? I would like to watch the rest of this for the first time with the Hive. And I'll put comments up on screen. We can stop it. We can go back.
911. I even spoke with a student at U of I who also knew people got called. But when it comes to speaking with anyone who received a phone call or immediate friends of those who did, it's kind of hard to get people to talk.
That were close to the situation.
I called the FBI on the 13th, actually, because I knew my daughter received the text. Everything that is all true. She had received the text by 10 a.m.
Kim mentioned to
Her
me
boyfriend
that
plays football for UI, and supposedly he had spent the night at my daughter's house. But again, we were in a hotel in Pullman. I never saw him. I never saw. So, but then when I called at 5 o'clock, when we got the alert on the way home, she knew everything that had happened. Where the kids were, and that Dylan and Bethany were in the downstairs room. They knew the guys who were there. It wasn't just one. They knew who they were. There was a lot of loud noise, and they locked themselves in their rooms and went to sleep. I said, or we're hiding, whatever. But I said, why didn't they call the police? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, I just really still can't get my head around that. They were not terrified. Like what the police report said, the probable cause warnings is not what these kids were all told.
Yeah.
It's not. And one of the girls, even on 2020 said, I think it was a girl, I'm not sure, in the black sweater, blue sweater said, I texted Santa in the morning and I didn't hear back. Police weren't called till noon.
Wow.
They were there, and they were there early on. And what I've been told by the FBI is that they're aggressively investigating everything I've told them. So I do think they do know. I do think they're going to make more arrests. But I do think that Kaylee's, at least her father should know the condition of Kaylee's body. And that crushes my soul for him. And I just can't even take away that pain. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that?
That all happened and the roommates were just asleep.
They weren't asleep. They were awake. They heard it all. They knew who it was. And I don't know in the translation if there saw 3 people inside and 1 outside watching, or 2 people inside.
See, this next part, and to Ink Mama's point, you're right. I crashed out about the surviving roommates last night. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I'm not going to get myself fired back up, but listen to what WSU Kim says right here. Do you guys realize, like, just even the speculation of this information? She'd called the FBI on the 13th. Listen to what she says with how many people were outside, how many people were inside. That's nuts, in my opinion. And don't forget where we are today. If anybody can tell me in a police document where people were who was positioned where, what door they went through. Did they climb up on the balcony? Did they go through a window? Who did they kill first? If anybody could tell me that and show me in a police document who was done first, who was done last, how there was no blood, where they exited, I don't even know. Name your price. Name whatever you'd want. Because you can't do it. You can't do it.
Sleep.
They weren't asleep. They were awake. They heard it all. They knew who it was. And I don't know in the translation if there saw 3 people inside and 1 outside watching, or 2 people inside and 1 outside watching. So from what I've been able to boil down and get pieces together from what I know, and I think Wazoo's involved too. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not just saying. That
too. I think Wazoo's involved. And you know what? I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm going to let this play. Then we can go back. So sorry. Because I know how this is when you're trying to listen to stuff and the host keeps interrupting. So I'm going to go back and I'll let it play.
In the translation, if there saw 3 people inside and 1 outside watching, or 2 people inside and 1 outside watching. So from what I've been able to boil down and get pieces together from what I know, and I think Wazoo's involved too. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not just saying U of I. Both schools are involved. And not just because he was the teacher there. How did he get vetted? Who is vetting him? He had everything I say, and I've said everything to the FBI immediately. When I discovered a lie, I called the FBI and I told them the lie. I have called the schools. I'm working right now on having Greek Girl suspended. My kid loves Greek Girl. She loves it. But it is so out of control. Well, 10 kids have died since last, February?
10 at
that I know.
At which
at U of I. After San Martinez died, they made sure the kids were very, very aware of the Good Samaritan rule, which means we don't care what state you're in of inebriation or whatever you're doing. You're calling in on somebody who's in real peril. We're not even going to look at you. We're going to say thank you and not even take your name. Like she says, that was 8 hours, and she heard all of that.
So with the do you know for sure that is what the phone calls were about when the roommates called at 8 a.m. and
I think what I heard, and I'm not sure which of the girls said it, was they were getting rid of everything in the house. They were cleaning the house, which would explain the van shoe print. Because I'm almost 100% sure that TA guy doesn't wear Vans. College kids, frat kids wear Vans. Like, come on, right? And then to say that Murphy was found in a bedroom with Kaylee but didn't have a speck of blood on him. Are you kidding me? The smell would have just bowled you over.
Another thing is, it doesn't take 4 hours. So
yeah, so I don't know. I think they were coming up with a narrative, because the narrative that was sent to my daughter at around 10 in the morning, it was that 4 students were killed. They were Pi Phis. And I think they had grouped Kaylee into that Pi Phi group. They didn't, because she's an AP. Because I remember the girl saying,
I got to go back. And I know that I just said I'm going to sit on my hands, but it sounds like 4 students were killed, 5 Pi Phi. Okay. This is clearly bleeped. It's redacted or whatever. Somebody edited this to not hear names. Okay. Now listen to this part.
It was that 4 students were killed. They were 5.
Does that sound like Pi Phi, or does that sound like there's 5?
It was that 4 students were killed. They were 5.
I heard there were 5.
It was that 4 students were killed. They were 5 Pi Phis. And I think they had grouped Kaylee into that Pi Phi group. They didn't, because she's an AP. Because I remember the girl saying, that's weird that an AP and a Pi Phi is living together. And they said, well, schools were different. I don't know. Maybe one of them dropped or something. I don't know. And I don't know Greek. I went to Central Washington University. We didn't have Greek there. But so anyways, they said that they were stabbed to death, and they said about Bethany's injuries. And then
wait, whose injuries? Yeah. Bethany?
Not Bethany. I'm sorry, about Maddie's injuries.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know their injuries or not.
And Blue-Eyed Candy, that's a good pause, or a good pausing point. Blue-Eyed Candy says, Bertie, do you remember when one of the first news reporters on scene stated that someone had been transported to the hospital? I know that I saw that in real time when it was reported. I'm trying to find it. Well, if there's any group of people that will have it, it will for sure be the Hive. I'm pretty sure that I've shown that on stream within the last 60 to 90 days. It's a short news clip. But yeah, like at what point do we start thinking about all that again? You know what I mean? How many things can we see in the documents that they don't make sense and we say, that's BS, they're lying? Well, okay, if that's clearly not true, should we just forget about the stuff that came out before they were able to put all that in place? Is that smart to do, to just forget about that? No, it's not. It's stupid. You got to go back to that beginning. And Blood Candy, you rock. Absolute goat for all the super chats. Thank you so much, for real. I really appreciate that.
See, I can't imagine that Hunter Chapin would have not immediately called 911.
Part is really confusing.
Because I know there were guys there as well.
So you know for sure there were other guys that stayed overnight?
I do know that there were other guys there. I don't told me that he was a triplet and that his brother was there.
Hunter Chapin, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, how would WSU Kim know that? That is huge, guys. Do you guys understand what was just said? She already knew Hunter Chapin was there, and we've been sitting here saying, that's the black Ford Explorer. We've been listening to the exhaust. We've been wondering, this is crazy. His damn car's there. Now, from one of my mods, we were trying to figure out the date of this, and it says that WSU Kim appeared on Chronicles of Olivia around January 20th, January 21st, or January 26th of 2023. So this is very early on. Shout out to Luna for that. And I mean, seriously, she's calling it. She called that first, and nobody listened. Nobody listened. And because she was so discredited, right? She's been saying it since 2023.
I know that there were other guys there. I don't told me that he was a triplet and that his brother was there.
Hunter Chapin, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was there. And in fact, he's the one who told his parents said on the TV. So I assume that's the facts. That's true. So the police clearly weren't there yet. And everybody was told by the kids, not the police, which, right, all these kids are there first. So the first call. So when my daughter, and I know that, here's what I do know for certain. When we dropped my daughter off to her house, before we went to the hotel, it was like about 12-ish. I hadn't seen her all day, or her boyfriend. But then when we went and picked her up for breakfast, it was probably around 8, 9. Still wasn't there. We went in. At some point, she was either there or she wasn't. Mm-hmm. The girls, and I kept saying again, why didn't they call the police? She's like, I don't know, Mom, because it's a party house. I don't know why. I think that's why. And that's kind of where that feedback comes from. I mean, and I said, have you been there? And she goes, well, no, Mom, I haven't been there, but a lot of people do. I mean, they're cool. Like, and I said, how do you know? Do you even know them? She goes, well, she knows Xana's sister, Jasmine, goes to school at WSU. So with them, even though she is with them, with the kids over there, but she's really good friends with Pi-Fi's, and she's really good friends with, she's a sorority sister. So, and that's where it came from. And then when charging documents or whatever came out here, she came down from, she woken up, and I said, look at what they said, and showed her. She goes, that's not what happened. And it was so absolutely organic that I have no reason not to believe that's what she truly believes, and that's the narrative she knew. So they were given a narrative. You know, a whole bunch of kids were given a narrative by the kids that were there. Maybe received the text, wasn't present, but received the text from somebody in Pi-Fi, and then she distributed it, and other people did as well. And that's why all the kids know it's a different story.
The importance in this is that she got a phone call from Pi Beta Phi.
Yes, that's exactly right. I don't know what format the communication was in. I believe it was Snapchats. The problem, a lot of the problems with this investigation is it's Snapchats. But if you weave your way back through the Venmos, because if you're not Greek, you can't go on Greek Row. especially if you're a guy. So I do think that I know they do it at high caps at WSU. They infiltrate or they get a hold of somebody who will and sell for them on campus. Like Brian couldn't go to the Sigma Chi house. He's not a Sigma Chi. Only girls can go after 10 o'clock, at least at WSU anyway. But you don't go to Greek Row, and unless you're an athlete, you can, because athletes aren't supposed to be. And my son's an athlete. Athletes, it's really, really frowned upon for them to be in the Greek system. But they're allowed to go to the parties. They get invited to the parties, right? Because
Yeah.
So, and if you're a girl and you're not Greek, you can go after 10 p.m. That's how it is at WSU anyway. It's very strong. But if you weave your way back through the Venmos, because if you're not Greek, you can't go on Greek Row, especially if you're a guy. So I do think that I know they do it at high caps at WSU. They infiltrate or they get a hold of somebody who will and sell for them on campus. Like Brian couldn't go to the Sigma Chi house.
Like when she's saying they infiltrate and they get a hold of somebody on campus because people that are not in frats or not on Greek Row can't be there. When I hear they infiltrate, I think of a criminal network, or I think of some sort of confidential informant.
He's not a Sigma Chi. Only girls can go after 10 o'clock, at least at WSU anyway. But you don't go to Greek Row, and unless you're an athlete, you can, because athletes aren't supposed to be. And my son's an athlete. Athletes, it's really, really frowned upon for them to be in the Greek system. But they're allowed to go to the parties. They get invited to the parties, right? Because
Yeah.
So, and if you're a girl and you're not Greek, you can go after 10 p.m. That's how it is at WSU anyway. It's very structured. And they say that's a safety structure. I feel like it might not be, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody finds their place, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think the girls, okay, I'm just going to say this. I really want to be clear about this. I don't think they're bullies. I think, to me, they look kind to everybody, and their kindness maybe made them more naive and put them in a precarious position they didn't even know they were going to be in. Not that I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying goodness is not a right to hurt somebody. But I do think they were sucked into it because of Sigma Chi. And I do believe it's Sigma Chi. This is bigger than them. And it's bigger than Moscow police, which is why I called the FBI on the 13th, not Moscow police or Pullman to talk. I don't have a feel for Hunter. I think Ethan was probably, from what I can look at, he was the leader of the two of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong. I don't know. But also, the girls who were on Dateline in 2020, they are lying.
How do you know that? Did your daughter mention
I just looked at
something about it?
because I'm looking. No, I didn't. The first time I thought, oh, you're just being judgy, Kim. Just look again. Like I'm just wanting to see them being bad. But then I'm looking like, no, they're lying. They have created a narrative to protect something or somebody or themselves, and they are feeding it around. And what they're realizing is they're putting themselves in so much more danger. And there's families who could go years with never finding out what really happened.
Wow.
I do think that Brian was a mastermind. I do not believe he was alone, because the information first given to my daughter was that there were 3 people there.
And this was at what time were the 3 people there? At 8 a.m. or at night?
When apparently when the murders happened, but
around 4 a.m.
Maybe Dylan thought they were just going to be shaking them up.
Wait, what? I'm going to go back 30 seconds.
And they are feeding it around. And what they're realizing is they're putting themselves in so much more danger. And there's families who could go years with never finding out what really happened.
Wow.
I do think that Brian was a mastermind. I do not believe he was alone, because the information first given to my daughter was that there were 3 people there.
And this was at what time were the 3 people there? At 8 a.m. or at night?
When the murders happened, but
around 4 a.m.
Maybe Dylan thought they were just going to be shaking them up for the money.
So the 3 people standing outside was at 4 a.m, and one was a creepy guy. I think I remember hearing that one was creepy.
Yeah, they just call him the creeper. There's a lot of creepers that hang out there. I don't know. I think there's more questions to be asked.
Mm-hmm.
Some lie detector tests to be taken. I know they don't hold up in court, but they certainly work well to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guided so quickly is because he's got something. He knows every single thing that these kids have done. When they felt like they were being.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments about to what Blue Eyed Candy says. Does she think that BK is involved? I mean, this was sometime between January 20th and January 26th. So it would have been post arrest of Brian Koberger. Maybe she's trying to just make sense of what her daughter said and is assuming. Like, we have to be able to discern. So think critically. Think back to yourself when Brian was first arrested before all of the documents. Okay? There could still be good bits and pieces of truth in this. And I'm not trying to hang on to every word. I'm just saying We didn't know any of these documents. This is late January of 2023. Okay. So I'm just trying to like keep your head on a swivel. Don't close your brain off. Just try to listen to things that are being said.
So my detector test is to be taken. I know they don't hold up in court, but they certainly work well to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guided so quickly is because he's got something. He knows every single thing that these kids have done. When they felt like they were being watched, stalked, they were being watched. They were being watched diligently. I believe he's been in that house before. I think my understanding is he had been in the house, but he was a creeper and they kicked him to the curb and wasn't allowed to come back. That is what I think happened like a few weeks prior. And I've told the police that. And that is because I've gotten that from the girls, because if they're not partying there and they're just getting this narrative from, but it's still really, the towns are pretty small together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty connected. So it's like being on the same campus. It's just 5 miles apart, right?
So your daughter
every day for 15 days. She had spoken with Ethan at 2, or her son had texted Ethan at 2 a.m. He was at Ethan's memorial service. They were good friends. Ethan had texted him at 2 a.m. She knew, so this kid knew where he was at 2 a.m. And it took like 15 days, she said, to get somebody to call them back. They were so buried. Or why would I pick it up?
Yeah, no, and the fact that there's multiple kids who experience that, it's not just your daughter making this up. There's like multiple kids that got the phone call.
It's a rabbit hole sometimes when you're not getting anything from the police and things aren't adding up. I mean, 1 and 1 is making 12. Come on. It has to balance out. It has to make sense. And I can't help but think if I was the parent, I'd be thinking nothing is making sense. Come on. And it has to balance out. It has to make sense. And I can't help but think if I was the parent, I'd be thinking nothing is making sense. And it's being taken all these places where probably it's just the simplest explanation is usually the explanation, right? In life. But there's a lot of things in it, a lot of lying. And these kids are lying like crazy. I can't believe they let them come home for Christmas. And that's what I said to them. I said, are you seriously sending my kid home for Christmas? I know I lose here, but if they're Greek on either campus, you keep them there. SWAT the guy December 15th.
Yeah,
that was
Brent Kopaka.
So my son, he came downstairs the day that the affidavit came out with the probable cause, and he said, Mom, the map doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. Wazoo is a walking campus. I think Moscow's you walk a lot in Moscow too, but so they know the roads and they know all of those things and where their phones work. And there's really no range in Pullman. I mean, there's more range in Moscow truly than there is in Pullman, but he spent like 15 to 20 minutes outside of the apartment where that guy was shot, where he supposedly lived, at the Coffee House Apartments. What was he doing there? Was he picking him up? And I don't think he worked for Pullman's, he was security. I thought he worked in tech at UI Tech, or the tech department at University of Idaho, but I could be wrong there too. They changed the story, they changed the person after the first day of putting it up. But why did he want to kill his roommates? And why was he living with 2 students if he's 38 and not a student? And is this Brian guilty actually, but going to get off because it's going to turn it on him? Because I think he's got something up his sleeve.
I had one of his friends message me because I made a video about Hudson.
Did you guys hear that? I mean, this is pretty remarkable. Again, end of January for somebody just credible, not credible. I think sometimes you just have to listen to the words. She's already calling. Brian has something up his sleeves. I mean, this is within a month. This is within 3 weeks of him being arrested. Listen to this.
Is he living with 2 students if he's 38 and not a student? And is this Brian guilty actually, but going to get off because it's going to turn it on him? Because I think he's got something up his sleeve.
I had one of his friends
turn it on him because I think he's got something up his sleeve.
I had one of his friends message me because I made a video about Hudson, and like everyone saw that video, and I was just talking about his case and spreading awareness. She messages me and says, just to let you know that this has nothing nefarious to it. It has nothing to do with Sigma Chi. He tripped and fell on a rock and hit his head and passed out in the creek. But I went to that creek. and says, just to let you know that this has nothing nefarious to it. It has nothing to do with Sigma Chi. He tripped and fell on a rock and hit his head and passed out in the creek. But I went to that creek because I went to Moscow a second time. But there's like trees and bushes along the side of it. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Where was he going? For the shortcut.
I don't know. Like, I have no idea. I think he was just leaving the frat and going home.
He's not the first one to die in that creek.
So you've heard about...
I think another boy died in 2015, but I could have the date wrong, but I believe another boy did. I certainly want them to have peace, and I don't want this guy to get off, and I'm really very concerned that he's going to have enough evidence to at least post bond.
Yeah.
And I don't think she has. I think she's given everything she has, and when she finds something, she tells me. She thinks I am over the top too nervous and worried, and I think she's not worried enough. So we have a little battle there, but nature of the beast, right? But she knows I'm speaking for her, and I tell everybody I am speaking for her, and I believe her because that's what all the girls said, and that's the most plausible story. Nothing else makes sense. For her to have opened the door and seen him, and him to walk by her, he would not have done that. He would have killed her. And if she was frozen, how did she shut the door and lock it? Right? She was on the first floor. She wasn't on the second floor. And I actually think that the girl who never moved in is the one probably who has a lot of answers.
Why did the police say she was on the second floor?
She was downstairs with Bethany.
And see, and we just blew by this the first time. I'm sure we all heard this.
And if she was frozen, how did she shut the door and lock it? Right? She was on the first floor. She wasn't on the second floor. And I actually think that the girl who never moved in is the one probably who has a lot of answers.
Why did the police say she was on the second floor?
She was downstairs with Bethany.
And you know that for a fact because your daughter told you that?
Yeah, well, that. I know that for a fact because that's what my daughter told me. And she saw them out the window. They saw them out the window. And I think they knew they were coming. When the police say to be vigilant, lock your groups, well, guess what? They were sleeping, and there was a group of them in the house, and there was a guy there. What more could they have done? I'd like to know if somebody ate that whatever was in that Jack in the Box bag, why the receipt was not correct, because the receipt is not correct if you pull it up. It just has an X on it. Did she order it? Does it follow a Venmo somewhere?
There's so many details.
And I will speak to them anytime they want. And if they have questions, they want me to go find out. If you have questions you want me to find out, I will do my best.
Yeah,
I think that
After listening to Kim speak,
that happened. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And she's like, I think Keely's dead.
She had an interaction with a date.
Don't let it die.
You need to be vocal. We went and
So that's the interview too, where they said that their niece called them and said, Kaylee's been shot. And she's like, what? And then you hear people on Gunderson's body cam say, well, we didn't hear any gunshots. And then you hear on Snyder's body cam when Gunderson says to him, so maybe a pistol was involved. And then you have Bethany saying, I thought it was a firecracker. Dylan says after the bang. Guys, at JM Bree shows that a police report was filled out with a box checked firearm in addition to a sharp-edged weapon. There's documents that I've shown that are still up that have been scrubbed that include Idaho on a school list of mass shootings. This is weird. It's all weird. WSU Kim, it's weird that she knows so much. I don't know what to make of this interview. Okay. And I have one other interview, so don't go anywhere. Again, if you're just tuning in, please hit the like button, hit subscribe. That's all that I ask. I do keep all my streams free. Now, to quickly break down what we just listened to, I would think that the majority of us have this wherewithal, this ability to understand that this just happened. This is what my daughter was told. I believe my daughter. My daughter is telling me this. There were calls, there were Snapchats. The roommates knew, multiple people involved, 2 outside or 3 outside, 1 inside. But what's really interesting about this whole interview, right, if that's what you want to call it, very rarely does WSU Kim say, I think, or maybe, or pretty much, or I don't know if this is real. So if she's wrong, how is she wrong? It doesn't sound like she's lying. It doesn't sound like she's making it up. If you were to put Dylan Mortenson's interview without knowing it was hers, and let's say you could time travel back and hear that for the first time, and you were to hear WSU Kim and her interview for the first time without knowing it was her, who would you believe? You know what I mean? There's this, I don't know, I was messed up, I was drunk. I mean, how does WSU Kim have a daughter that goes to WSU that seems to provide more details than somebody that was in the house? Isn't that a little bit suspect at a bare minimum? And if she was lying, I believe that she wouldn't have done this. She would have backed off. But instead, she called the FBI on the 13th. She's updated her story. She's given updates about her story. I certainly feel, at least at this point in time, whenever that interview was recorded, again, I believe that it was sometime in the last week or the second to last week of January 2023, approximately, I believe that WSU Kim was 100% chasing the truth. I don't know if that's what liars do, right? It seems like she's racking her brain trying to figure out how. She's talking in a way that somebody's heard something and they're like, I don't understand, right? I saw a couple of people in the chat say, well, she's a plant. Trust me, we could spin ourselves into the ultimate spin cycle if everybody's a plant. But, I mean, it's not a bad point. Maybe then if WSU Kim is a plant, right? If she's a plant, how are we going to believe then anything about Hunter Chapin being there? When she says Hunter showed up, there was other guys there. How does she even guess on some of these details, even if she is just hearing it? Happy in my flip-flops. Wow. Huge super chat. Thank you so much. You rock. $50 super chat. Happy in my flip-flops 3 says, Birdie, can you get WSU Kim on your show? She's always said she will talk to anybody and answer any questions. Thank you for all that you and the mods and the Hive do. I'll do it immediately. I'll have her on next week. If anybody's got a plug to WSU Kim, or WSU Kim, if you somehow hear that or hear this, I would love to have you on the show to ask you questions. Genuinely. And it's not going to be gotcha. I'm sure at this point, if you're willing to talk, you probably have the same questions that we all do. Right? So, yeah, I'm down. BirdieBombshell00@gmail.com. Birdie's Hive Mind @gmail.com. My mods will put both of those in the chat, or if they just want to put one of them in the chat, Birdie's Hive Mind @gmail.com. I'm completely open to having WSU Kim on the show. I'm open to having anybody on the show. I have no problem sitting here and asking questions. I'm a civilian that is just trying to get the truth at the end of the day. Right? And I would absolutely respect any wishes that she wanted to have. If, hey, don't bring this up, don't bring that up. And that doesn't, I'm not trying to sound like a soft interviewer, but I'm saying this genuinely, where it's like, okay, if she's willing to talk after clearly all of the backlash last time, I know now with all the documents released, there are so many questions that we could ask, even just based on this first interview, that would probably blow our minds. So I'm absolutely open to that. And thank you, Discord Dawn, for putting that in the chat. It's up on the screen right there, birdieshivemind@gmail.com. Now, I do have another video from Christy's Chaos. Cheers, everyone.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for